Hi everyone, this is Harshit, and in today's video, I'll be sharing my interview experience with Juspay Technologies Private Limited. I'll be starting with the application process, then coming to how many rounds were there, and then finally coming to some tips and tricks that I followed to manage an intern plus PPO offer from Juspay. So without much wait, let's get started. So starting with the application process, Juspay used to conduct an online coding challenge on a website which was known as Dare to Compete. I registered into that coding challenge with my resume and some basic details. There was no scope of taking any referral for applying to this coding challenge, which is why I did not take any referral. Now in the coding challenge, there were 3 coding rounds, which had 1 week interval between each of them. And all of them were eliminatory in nature. Each one of these coding rounds had 3 coding questions which were based on graphs and trees. And all of these 3 questions were connected to each other, which means that if you created some boilerplate code in the first question for creating the graph or using some BFS or DFS traversal, you could use the same boilerplate code in the second and the third question as well for saving your time. Each one of these questions was of 100 marks, so the maximum score in every round was 300. And out of this 300, the cutoff for the first 2 rounds was 250 plus, and the cutoff for the last round, that was the third round, was 270 plus. And if you scored below the cutoff score, you would be directly eliminated from the further interview process. So after these 3 coding rounds, I got a confirmation email that I was selected for the next part of the interview process, and that was hackathons. So Juspay's interview process consisted of 2 hackathons, Hackathon Part A and Hackathon Part B, and both of them being eliminatory in nature. So in the first part of the hackathon, I was given a coding problem which I had to solve in 3 hours. That coding problem was based on trees, and I had to implement several functionalities as specified in the question. So after completing the part A of the hackathon successfully, I was selected for part B of the hackathon, which was after 1 week. Now, the part B of the hackathon was a 8 to 9 hour long hackathon, in which the problem in the part A of the hackathon was combined with operating systems to generate a real world problem. This hackathon started at 10:30 in the morning, where there was a kickoff meet to explain the problem which we will be solving in this hackathon. After this kickoff meet, we all were assigned buddies who were the existing employees of Juspay, and they will be helping and mentoring us throughout this hackathon. Initially, my buddy asked me to explain the problem as he wanted to see if I had the complete understanding of the problem or not. I explained him the problem, and then we proceeded on towards an approach for the solution of the problem. My first approach to the solution was able to solve some of the issues of the problem, but was not completely correct. I incrementally resolved all the issues in my solution approach, with my buddy mentoring and guiding me if I went wrong at some place. After a few hours, I was able to get to a solution approach which was able to resolve all the issues in the problem, and I coded it up in the best time complexity as well. My solution was accepted by my buddy, and this was how my part B of the hackathon ended. The very next day, I got a confirmation email that I am selected for the final interview at Juspay, which was just after 3 days. So for the final interview, I was told by the recruitment team to prepare for operating systems and system design thoroughly. Now during the final interview, the interviewer shared a code share link with me, which consisted of my solution for the Part B hackathon which I submitted just 3 days back. He asked several questions around that solution and wanted to understand how my code is able to solve the problem which was there in Part B hackathon. I explained each and every bit of that code, and he was satisfied with the same. The interviewer then asked me questions around the core concepts of operating systems, which I was able to answer completely. After this, the interviewer gave me some real world problems and asked my solution approaches for the same. He grilled me for all those approaches, and we were able to get some good solutions for all the real world problems he asked. The interview finally ended with me asking some questions around the work that we do in Juspay. The interviewer seemed quite impressed, and he told me that I am selected for the intern plus PPO position at Juspay then and there. And I did not have to wait for the confirmation email to know if I am selected or not. So this was how my interview ended. I then got up and told my parents about my selection, and we all were really happy as this was my first job offer. The very next day, I got the confirmation email as well. So this was all about my interview experience at Juspay. I hope you liked this video, and that's all from my side. This was Harshit Trehan signing off. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, keep preparing and be focused.